Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and I have Sarah Garcia, MoonGirl, and you are
Ooh.
watching the Paranormal Dolls. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for following us and subscribing to us. Please share so others can enjoy the show as much as you do. Today, right, Sarah? We
Yeah.
have a phenomenal guest and
The gentleman psychic.
the yes, gentleman psychic. Yes, it's perfect. All right, always perfect. We always have perfect guests, though. We never have one that's not good. So,
Mm.
so with that being said, welcome, Richard. How are you?
I'm very well, but a minor correction. My
Yes.
first name is Richard-Lael. It's
Lael.
like
I am so
Bonjour.
sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a lot of L's. It's a lot of L's. Richard-Lael Lillard it's a lot. When I was a kid, it was a lot. People called me Rich, they called me Richie, but I never really liked being called Richard. And then when I realized what the meaning of the name is of
Mhm.
Richard-Lael, then
Right.
I went, oh. So Lael is ancient Aramaic, very, very old. And it means chosen of God.
Mhm.
So the first name of Richard means powerful ruler, and then chosen of God. So
Right.
I like that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So, congratulations. You
Well,
finally figure it
didn't
out.
mean me. I
You,
didn't.
kn- you,
I didn't have a choice in the name.
well, when we are adults, we do get choices. We can
That
go
is
and
true.
change our
You
name.
know, for a while, because I didn't want to be called Richard, I was so not. For a while, when I lived in Vegas, I was a hairdresser, and I did very well. Actually, I started doing hair for the win, like for advertisements,
Right.
for big promotions. And it was under the name of Jonathan Zarin because I thought, well, if I'm going to change the first name, I might as well change the last name. And when my mother saw it, she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You're embarrassed of me." I said, "It's not. I'm not embarrassed of you. It's a lot of L's." But now, as an adult, I go, actually, I kind of like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
It
Good.
suits you. It suits you.
I like it. It makes me happy.
So, tell us about yourself.
Well, I am known as the gentleman psychic. I'm a psychic and a medium. I used to be a psychic and a small, but I gained some weight. I used to do stand up, and then I found I make more money on my back.
Well,
Oh.
So I have
you're not the only one doing that. So you're very good.
make that money. That's what I say. So I have traveled a lot. I've traveled extensively. When my father passed away, and I knew he was going to 20 years before the fact, but when my father passed away on my 25th birthday, I
Um,
I said I'm going to go, and I did. I went and I went and I went. I went to Vegas where I was a hairdresser, and then I was a singing blackjack dealer. And then I got tired of being treated like a dancing monkey. And actually, I'll tell you a funny story about being a singing blackjack dealer, but I'll come back around to that because it ties into me being psychic. Anyway, so I got tired of being treated like a dancing monkey. I played Freddie Mercury, and I would tell them on my Wednesday, I would say, it's Wednesday. My voice is really bad. Can you just put on Crazy Little Thing Called Love? It's 2 minutes. And then as I would ascend the stairs to perform, I would hear my backing vocals for Bohemian Rhapsody. And you can't stop Bohemian Rhapsody.
No.
Even if you're doing Mama, ooh, can't stop it. So I got tired of being treated like a dancing monkey, and I bought a one-way ticket to London.
nice.
By this point, I had only been on one show, and it was I was on Scared and Alone. And long story short, they were trying to prank me. I have to legally say they did prank me. I have to say that, but Anyway, uh, so I get to London, and the woman at what is it called, at customs, she says to me, "Wait, don't I know you?" And I said, "No, dear, that's impossible." She says, "No, I know I've seen you on the telly. What you been on?" I said, "I don't know, dear. I'm a celebrity." She says, "What you been on?" I said, "Just for fun." She says, "No, I know I've seen you. What shows you been on?" I said, "American, dear." She says, "No, I know I've seen you in the UK." I said, "Dear, I am a celebrity." She goes, "Oh, all right. Enjoy your stay." One-way ticket to London. Crazy, right? So I ran out of funding because I was used to making blackjack dealer money, and I was not making that in London. And then I ran out of money, and I got an email that invited me to Greece. And for 6 months I was in Greece, and then I went to Sweden and Denmark, and then I got a letter that invited me to perform in Vegas again. And that money is what got me to San Francisco. And then from San Francisco, I came to Los Angeles. And then I had a brief stay in New York.
Mhm.
And then now I'm in New Orleans. So I'm a bit of a traveler. I'm a wanderer.
Mm.
But I wanted to tell you a psychic story about being a blackjack dealer.
Mhm.
So I got into the point where we had an automatic shuffler with the cards. And I got to the point where I could touch the back of the card and I would know what that card was. In fact, I got so good that I would know what the entire table was going to be. I
Mm.
just would know it. And I would lay them all face down and I would go 20, 19, 16. And then I would turn them over and they would be correct. They'd go, "How did you do that?" And I went, "I don't know." But then I remember there was a fellow. There were three people at my table, and I had a 6, and the fellow over here, he had 16, and then this one had 11. This one, I don't remember what he had, but he would have needed the other card anyway. And the guy with 16 says, "Hit me," and I said, "Buddy, listen, this guy has a tip for me, and he needs this 10. If I take this card right here, this is a 10, and you're going to have 26, and you're going to bust. And if you take his 10, he will have 17. And if he has 17, that means this fellow over here who would have hit and gotten 21, he's going to take my card, which is going to make me have 21." He says, "I said hit me." I said, "Okay, fine. You busted. 17. And then 21. Are you happy?" So yeah, so I didn't realize that was what I was doing. In fact, I mean I've been psychic since I was a kid. I've known things. I thought that I was saying things that everybody knew. It was just what I thought, you know.
Mhm.
I'd walk into a room, and my mother would say, "Oh, don't say that." And we went, I thought everyone knew, right? But when I went to San Francisco, a friend of mine said, "I have a gift for you." I said, "Okay, thanks." And he says, "Well, but first, before I give you these cards, I want you to read them." I said, "But I don't know. I don't know what they mean. He says, "Just shut up and read my cards." And I went, "But I don't." "Just shut up and read my cards." And I said, "Okay." So I laid out the cards and he went, "Whoa, wow, that was really good. That was good." And so from there, I started doing it for parties and events. And then I moved to Los Angeles, and I was the master of ceremonies at a Tim Burton themed bar and restaurant, the Beetle House.
Mhm.
They were closed for renovations, and I went, "Oh, I have to make money. Crap, 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 crap. I have to make money." And I thought, "Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll just post online. I'll post on Facebook that I'm giving readings." I've been doing it now for a decade at that point. I've been doing it for a decade. I might as well, you know, until something else comes along, I'll do this. And then that got me on to a show with Frankie Frank, which introduced me to Patty Negri. And Patty Negri got me on Ghost Adventures, and the rest is history. But yes, it was just, I've been doing it forever. I've been doing it for, for about this point now, gosh, 15 years. I've been reading cards. But like I said, I was a psychic since I was a baby.
Mm, very good.
Yes.
So, I like how you're so honest because let's face it, there are times where we're like, um, okay, we're lacking funds here. Where is it coming from? And you can,
Exactly.
you can manifest, and if you pay attention, the signs are there. If you don't pay attention, then you miss those opportunities. So,
Well, I always explain to people when I read for them, when I read their cards, I tell them, I say, cards, they are not magic. Cards are a tool that help us to tell your story. Now, I'm only looking through a keyhole. I am mortal, I am human. I do not know everything. However, if I say something but the card means something different to you, trust your intuition first. I'm not in your world. I don't know how this relates to you.
mhm.
However, I also say that cards are, life is like watching Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. Where's the bathroom? Where's my phone? Where's my friend? What street am I on? Ooh, that's loud. Oh, where's my wallet? Like, where's the Starbucks? Like, that's life. And then if we were simultaneously taken from the street into a helicopter high above New York City, now we can see the probable way, the entire probable route. And I say probable because it's highly likely that the parade is going to continue in that pattern. However, there are things that we don't see. A marching band could turn left instead of right. Will it happen? Probably not. Could it happen? Absolutely. The Barney balloon was punctured many years ago and removed from the parade route, but from the air, it would have looked like it was going to continue on.
Mhm.
So I only deal with probabilities, and the very act of knowing can change it.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to go too personal with this one, but I have a client that comes periodically, and I told him about that he was going to meet a woman that was from his town. And even though they lived in a completely different state, and that's the kicker. I'm not going to be too personal, but he lived in a completely different state from where he grew up. And I said he was going to meet this woman, and it looked like it was going to go towards marriage. And sure enough, he meets this woman with the same color hair that I told him, and the same location in the time frame. All of that was what came to pass. And then they start dating, and he tells her, we're going to get married because my psychic told me so. And she went, whoa, 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 whoa. And so then it was on again, off again, on again, off again. And then he wanted to have a spell to not have anything to do with her. But now I want her back. And so it was this back and forth and back and forth. And then finally it dissolved because again, and I told him, I said, oh, sorry, let me stop this one. I'm on a call. Sorry, I thought I put my phone to silent. I apologize about
No,
that.
it's okay.
No, it's no problem.
Anyway, now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so he says, he said, well, what happened? I said, because that was not for you.
Her.
I mean, not for her. That was for you.
Right.
That was the story you tell on your anniversary. You told that because now you've essentially removed her choice. That was not for her. That was for you. So the very act of knowing can in fact change the outcome.
Right. Very true. Very true. But yeah, no, I could imagine her face. Ooh.
Right?
Instead of saying, "Oh, we're gonna get married because we love each other. We're gonna have a great life." No, my psychic
My
told me.
psychic told me.
What? Wait, I would run.
It's scary. I would run too. Yeah, and that's also what I tell them is that whatever I tell to you is for you. It is not for anybody else. Don't go running to tell everybody else. It's not for them. It's for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
And
true.
then also when you run to somebody else, they have a chance to poo-poo it and say, well, I don't know. Well, I don't. And then also when we say things of what we're going to do,
Mhm.
it releases endorphins in our head, and we think that we've already done it. So
Right. Yeah, it could just send you in a different path altogether.
exactly.
Mm.
So tell us about your appearance on Ghost Adventures.
Well, it was really quite lovely. Zach is a treasure. So as I mentioned, Patty got me on the show. They
Love
had
Patty.
Patty is fabulous. She's one of my dearest friends on the planet.
Mhm.
And they, at this point, when I was introduced to Patty, Patty had come into my home. I was living in Pasadena, which was an 1890 Victorian.
Mm.
Now I live in an 1898 Victorian in New Orleans. It's a shotgun house, so it's not as grand as a big estate, but it's a charming little house. And anyway, Patty and I had become instant friends. And they were looking for someone who was spirited and haunted in a space that was high end.
Mm.
And Patty says, have I got someone for you? You'll love him. And so they contacted me. We got on the show. Zach comes in and he says, and I'm going to do my best Zach impersonation. Zach comes in and he says, whoa. Guys, this is beautiful, guys. This is what I want my museum to feel like, guys. And so listen, everybody listen up, because if you need to move anything, you do not drag it, you lift it. We are not going to damage anything. This place is beautiful. And so they filmed B-roll, and they filmed on the show. And it was so funny because I hadn't watched the show since maybe season 1 or 2. I don't really watch television. I just don't. I don't really watch television.
Right.
And so they come in and they do their initial investigation, and I started getting ready to go to the hotel because they have the house in lockdown, and then I go to the hotel. And Zach says, actually, could you stay and do us a seance? And I said, sure, why not? So I go in the other room, and I'm preparing, I change my clothing, and I put on something that is a little bit more formal. And when I do seances, I like that because it doesn't really do anything, but it makes me feel better. So I like to be very formal in a seance. It's very.
I agree.
So I get my rum, which I have as an offering, and I have all of the accoutrements, and I hear them in the parlor. I'm in the front, like my tower room, which is the seance room. I'm in the front, and I hear them through the double doors doing their EVP session. And the EVP session says, take a drink. And Zach says, take a drink of what? Of blood? And I laughed because here I have this glass of wine, of rum, that is an offering for the Loa. And then we go into the seance, and I say, and now we take a drink. And Zach goes, oh, take a drink? Oh, it makes sense. So I'm laying out the cards, and we're doing a Ouija session. And the spirit board talks. It says, I didn't know anybody's names. I knew Zach, but like I said, I don't really watch television.
Right.
And so it spells out Godwin, which was Aaron Goodwin.
Oh.
Me. So he went upstairs and he had to go talk to the lady upstairs, the spirit lady. But it was
Poor Aaron.
poor fellow. I mean, truly poor fellow. But it was at the table did some lurching. They captured a lot of EVPs. And then again, after the seance, I said, okay, I'm going to go to I'll go to the hotel. And Zach comes out and he says, actually, I wouldn't go because, listen, we have captured so much here. It's not even midnight. We've captured so much. Like, we have so much stuff that we've captured. We're going to be done because there's so much stuff. So And then they had me back on. They flew me. By this point, I'd been living in New York, and they flew me back out for the Halloween episode for the Los Feliz murder mansion, and that was quite a story. When I lived in LA, I knew of this house. It's hard not to. Like normally they don't tell you anything about it. They want you to go in blind. I knew this house. I knew about it because earlier on when I had lived in Los Angeles, I had gotten a gig with Uber. I was driving with Uber, and I dropped someone off near there, and I went to this house, and it was abandoned, and it was beautiful. I went, why is this beautiful house abandoned? And I had to do research on it because I was so obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that 1959, this doctor had murdered his wife, bludgeoned her to death, beaten his daughter, and then committed self-unaliving. And I was so fascinated because it was December of 1959, and I knew the story. I knew it. So I wanted, when I was flown back, I wanted to know what the doctor was feeling. I wanted to experience what made him snap. As it turns out, he had gotten really dark. Now, mind you, there was a lot that was happening. There was a lot that was going on in this family. He was the son of immigrants, and they worked really hard. And he was going to patent this certain syringe, and his daughter got into a car accident a couple of years early on, and she was held liable for it. And then his friend had stolen the patent for his syringe, and it was a lot. So he went into a state of depression. He got really dark, and he started not that reading Dante's Inferno is particularly dark. It's known as the Divine Comedy, even though it's one of the hardest books you will read. It's wordy. However, they found a book that he had been reading that was open to the first stanza, and it talks about as he wanders through this life, and it's a life of torture, and then he encounters two demons. He encounters a leopard man, and he encounters I can't remember, a cheetah. I think a cheetah and a leopard. I think. Anyway, so I laid out the book, and I asked the spirit to join me that night. And I was awakened with a nightmare. And standing right next to me was this massive man. And he was a black leopard. His skin was spotty, and he had sharp teeth. And he looked at me, and his eyes glowed. And he said, kill them for the old gods. And so we went back in, and we went to the house, and I was compelled into that. I had never been inside. I had never been inside this house. I was compelled to go right upstairs to the murder room where he had murdered his wife. And I realized what had happened was, we assume that the doctor was probably harming his daughter in more than one way.
Mm-hmm.
And this demon that he had summoned to him is he's a cat demon. And this cat demon actually he gets a bad rap, but he actually protects people that can't help him, that can't help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he felt for this little girl. Anyway, he possesses people, and he makes it so that it only lasts 45 minutes. It only lasts 45 minutes. The entire ordeal only lasts 45 minutes. So I channeled the energy, I channeled the spirit, and what had happened was the doctor was downstairs watching television, and it came over him. And he went in to the kitchen, retrieved a hammer out of the drawer, went upstairs, and he stood over his wife. And she was actually, at this point, she was awake. They had fought earlier on in the day, and he bludgeoned her to death. She bled. She drowned on her own blood is how she died.
Mm.
And so he went into through the Jack and Jill bathroom into Judy's room, and he began to swing at Judy, and she escaped past him, and she ran down the stairs. Her screams woke up her siblings, and they came out to the hallway, and he turns to them and he says, "Go back to bed. It's only a nightmare. Go back to bed." And so he goes back into his room. Judy has run across the street. She's pounded on the doors of the neighboring house. "Let me in, let me in, let me in. There's blood everywhere." The neighbor lets her in, goes into the house to try to talk to this doctor to try to get him to calm down. And he sees him briefly, and he goes back across the stairs and back into the room, where he takes a Molotov cocktail remember, he's a doctor.
Mhm.
So he's taking a Molotov cocktail of drugs, and he takes the hammer and he clutches it and he lays down next to his wife, and he's dead. And then the police show up, he's dead on the scene. The entire ordeal only lasted 45 minutes.
Mm.
So we get into the show, and we sense it. You know, I channel the doctor, and they feel the fear. They and I say these things that I'm seeing as it's happening in real time.
Mhm.
And then it leaps from me to Aaron, poor Aaron, poor Aaron.
Oh, poor Aaron.
And then the cops show up. 45 minutes into our investigation, the cops show up, and we went, "Something is wrong. Something is missing. Something's not here." Oh, right. 45 minutes. Judy is gone. The cops have shown up.
Mm.
That's why. That's exactly what's happened.
Hmm.
And so this energy, he gets a bad rap, but he's not as bad as what people think he is. But so that was my two stints on Ghost Adventures, and hopefully maybe more. Who knows?
I'm sure there'll be more. I'm sure there will.
So it's very fascinating and
It was fun.
interesting. That must have felt really interesting.
I don't typically get scared, but at first when I encountered this demon, it did scare me.
Mm.
What made me
Then
laugh?
what made you fear him? Is it because of his appearance, or was there just like the energy, or because you knew?
It was just so dark. It was so heavy. Actually, I'll tell you the cat demon name. Just a second. And I don't know. Oh, what is his name? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Maybe because he doesn't want to be broadcast. So maybe not. So we'll let it be at that. We'll let him have his. You'll know him when you know him. It was just so dark, and then I became his friend. Actually, I realized he was there. He was there to protect,
Mhm.
and like leopards do, they will protect the young. Like leopards do, they protect those who are. They protect babies. Even oftentimes you'll see them protecting the babies of other creatures.
Mhm.
They may eat their parents, but so he got a bad rap. He was just protecting.
Well, I believe that no matter whether a demon, angel, whatever, a child, whether it's animal, whatever, even human, everybody just steps out and says, "Nope, this needs protection."
Exactly.
I mean, even prisoners, when somebody in jail, they find out that there was harm being done to a child, that prisoner better be protected because they'll take care of it.
Exactly. And it's just it's a natural thing. And I think that demons get too much of a bad rap anyway, because we in the West, we think of things as sort of black and white and good and evil and right and wrong. And when you look at the angels, the biblically accurate angels of the Bible, you would think that they were demons and monsters because they have all of these wheels and
Eyes and stuff. They look very different than what people portray them
Right.
to look like.
Right.
and then and demons, they're, you know, demon just it gets a bad rap too because it depends on where we are. In the East, there are demons. There's one in particular whose entire sole purpose is to wash a leaf in a creek. Like that's its. There's another demon whose sole purpose is to kick a traveler as they walk by you, and there's nobody there, but the demon will kick you.
That's what it was, Glenda, when you almost tripped. That's what it
There
was.
you go.
It was just a demon who kicks you.
Yes.
So, and it runs the gambit. If you go into the Middle East, the jinn are almost seen as demons, and they can be good, they can be evil. It's just what we put on it, but really they get too much credit. I will tell you the funniest thing was that Zach tried to he tried to rebuke the demon in the name of Jesus. And it's an old demon. It's pre-Christian. It's not. It's a native thing. It's pre-Christian, so it didn't work.
Now, speaking of that, I want to jump into religion. You're very open about your practices. Do you want to let the audience know and the misconceptions that there is many of?
Sure. So I'm a Satanist. I do not belong to the Satanic Temple. I do not belong to the Church of Satan. I am independent. There's lovely things about each of them that I do appreciate. There are things that I don't, but I'm an independent. And people go, oh, but you worship the devil and you worship demons. No, I'm not a demon worshiper. I don't worship demons. I don't believe in a literal devil. I don't believe in a God. I believe that the universe is, I don't know that it's conscious. I just believe that I believe in energies. I believe that they can act as a symbol. For instance, if someone is not religious, they can look at the Buddha, someone who's not a Buddhist, they can look at the Buddha and go, this is something that I admire. He's beautiful. To me, it represents peace. It represents harmony. It represents balance. And they can get as much out of it as someone who believes in it. And also, most Buddhists, by the way, are atheistic. They believe in the power of the mind. They believe in meditation. They believe in magic, but they do not believe that the Buddha was actually God. And that's much the way of my belief. It is when I look at the idea of the devil, in biblical terms, I was raised Pentecostal. In biblical terms, the devil was not as bad as what people thought he was. He was always there to give a counterbalance. He was always there to say, yes, but question it. When we look at the serpent, who's not, by the way, the devil, that comes much later. In fact, the serpent in early Christian artwork was depicted as being a beautiful woman. So the serpent comes to the Garden of Eden and tells Eve, did God not tell you to eat of all of the fruit? Yes, but I can't eat that because I'll die. Who said you would die? Well, God said, the day that I eat of this fruit, I will surely die. He said, you will not die, but you will have understanding. Your eyes will be open. You will understand your position. And true to form, she eats of the fruit. Her eyes are open, and Bible historians will say they lived another 1,000 years. Who was the liar? It was not the serpent. The serpent did not lie. Your eyes will be open. Look at you. You're toiling about. You're a slave in a garden. You're naked. You have so much potential. Wouldn't you like to reach your potential? Yes. When we talk about the book of Job, when the Satan, Ha-Satan, means the opponent, he acted as the prosecuting attorney and went back and forth between heaven and earth. And he said, Job, he said, they had a bet, and he says, God says, have you seen my servant Job? He'll not deny me. And the devil's Ha-Satan says, that's because you have an edge around him. You've protected him. And God says, oh yeah, well, I removed that hedge. And people say, oh, but now Satan has killed his family and made him poor and given him boils. No, that's not what happened. The hedge of protection was removed. These are things that would have happened. These are things that happened in those days anyway. Earthquakes happened, fires happened, plagues happened. It just happened. And so it wasn't that Satan had done it. God had removed the protection from him. And so when we get to the New Testament, when Hasatan, meaning the Satan, he comes to Jesus and he says, why, if you're God, why do you want to go through this? Couldn't you just say, I forgive you? Couldn't you just, if you're God, you can leap from this mountain and the angels would lift you up? You don't have, if you're God, you don't have to do this. You really don't have to do this if you're God. So Satan really, for me, represents honesty, and it represents humanity, humanism, one's full potential. It represents striving for perfection. It asks to question everything.
And free thinking.
Free thinking. Don't, why is the speed limit 65? Don't you question it. Why? Well, I can tell you why the speed limit is 65, because if someone goes 120 miles an hour, they have a higher likelihood of killing themselves than somebody else. Why is it 65 miles an hour? Because question. And then it's sort of like even in fashion rules. Oh, we never wear white after Labor Day. Why? Why? Oh, well, it's because it's good taste. Says who? I like it. I want to wear it.
Yes.
So that becomes an arbitrary rule. And we question rules. We make people say, and if it's a good reason, as per the speed limit, we'll say, great, that's perfect, that's wonderful, that's a great rule. But if it's something arbitrary, like, for instance, Leviticus 18:22, man shall not lie with mankind like he lieth with a woman. They shall both be put to death. They've committed an abomination. Why? Why? Against who? Two consenting adults? Against who? An abomination against who? And if God in its infinite glory and wisdom, if they're so concerned about what men do with their bodies, why is the male G-spot inside the anus, and
Yes.
why
To torture you? It's a cruel prank from God. That's where it is, but you can't get in there.
But if God really, 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 really didn't want PPs to touch, he would not have made it accessible. If truly, like, if it didn't fit in the hole, it wouldn't go in the hole. Try putting it in the ear. You can. So we ask those questions, and we ask, why is this something that is held up? Why? And if there's no good reason, and there isn't, by the way, for that, if there's no good reason, then we go, I don't need that in my life. And then it also, as we talk about the Bible, the Bible says to go into the neighboring city. He tells his tribe, go into the neighboring city, kill every man, every woman who's known a man, every boy. Save the virgin girl for your own purposes. What do you think those purposes are? And you're going to take this girl as your slave after you've murdered her father and her mother and her sister and her aunt and her brothers and her cousins, and then she's supposed to just be your wife now?
Yeah.
And the Bible says, Jesus says, slaves, obey your masters. Why? If there's morality, why not say no? Don't own people. It's wrong. Yeah. Don't own people. The Bible says that you can beat your slave and that you're fine. You suffer no recompense because he's your property. Beat him unless he doesn't get up in 3 days. If he doesn't get up in 3 days, then you might have a problem because now you've now you've done something wrong. But beat him until he can't get up for 2.5 days. Fine. No, that's evil. That's bad. That's wrong. And so question those rules. Also, growing up Pentecostal as I did, women cannot wear makeup. Why? Why?
We want to be trollops, Glenda. Let us.
Right? Women can't cut their hair. Why? And my auntie was Pentecostal on my mother's side. And she wanted so badly to be beautiful and to find her space that she would tan until she was brown because she couldn't wear makeup. But she learned that she could put moisturizer on her lips in the form of Vaseline, and she would bite them so that they would be red, and she put Vaseline, and she put Vaseline on her eyelashes, and then she couldn't cut her hair, but she would break it off so that it would be in nice layers around her face. She couldn't wear jeans, but she would wear a jean skirt. And my mother told her, she said, "You are the most miserable Christian ever." Why? It's just because you think that a woman can't wear makeup. Why? You're already doing it. You're already going about doing it. Why not actually do it and make it pretty? Why not? Why do we have arbitrary rules? And I'm fine if people want to be Christian, if they want to be Buddhist, if they want to be Hindu, if they want to be any religion on the planet. Fine. I don't actually care. But it ends when you start trying to enforce your religion in schools. When you start to tell me that I can't have steak on Fridays because it offends you, or I can't be with the person I want to be with because you don't like it, or your deity doesn't like it. If it's fine for you, I don't care. If you want to have multiple wives and it's fine, I don't care. On a side note, I have to tell you, truthfully, when I gave up Pentecostalism, I was searching for other religions, and I almost became a Mormon because I'm for anything that's more men.
Hey, bum.
And then I thought, no, I won't do that. Instead, I'm not going to be Amish. I do like the 19th century, but I do like modern conveniences. Maybe I'll be a Mennonite, because it's 2 men a night.
Hey.
No, but truthfully, I don't care what people's religions are. I'm not out to convert anybody. I will say, have at it, do it. Just don't try to convert me. I don't care what you do.
And that's the way it should be, right? Because basically everything leads to one place. Everything starts at somewhere and everything goes back to the same place. We just call it differently. We just phrase it differently. We believe in what happens here differently. But everything, we start and we go back to the same place.
And there's beautiful things about every religion, just like there's things I really highly disagree with. So I just take what resonates with me. And that's my own religion. You know what I mean? That's what I go by, what feels good to me, what I know is right for me. And I'm very open with my kids too about it. I have 2 boys and I let them whatever they want. They know my beliefs and what I, am into. My youngest, he wants to be Catholic. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take that away from him. I'm not Catholic, but he chooses to be, if he wants to be and he believes, and that's fine. I won't remove that from him. My other one's more open, he doesn't necessarily believe in anything, and that's fine. We can all get along, and choose to believe what we believe and what works for us.
Absolutely. Whatever makes you, whatever floats your goat, I like to say.
Yes. You're a devil goat.
That is very true. But truthfully, like I said, I don't care. What I do care is when you would be astounded. My car's name is Mr. Satan, and up until recently,
it's beautiful, by the way. I love it.
My car had the license plate was Mr. Satan. Now it's not now. I have to anyway. That's a long story short, but it will be again. But it was when I moved. It was not. But I would go into church parking lot or church parking lots. I would go to supermarket parking lots, and I go in and I'm saying hi to everybody, and I would come out and there would be Christian tracts in my seat, which is such an invasion. And it's like,
Yeah.
why do you think this little chick tract is? Do you think I haven't heard your Bible? You think I haven't read it? And now I'm getting online. I get a lot of evangelical Muslims telling me how much that I need Allah, and I go, no thanks. You need Allah. I need Satan.
That needs to be put on a T-shirt.
Right? Exactly.
With some nice undies.
You
With
know
a little
what?
devil winking his eye right in the crotch, like, hey.
Maybe you can make them. Maybe you can.
I will. I'll put the gentleman psychic on the back.
So funny.
Do you have any upcoming events or anything that you might be doing next?
Yes. Well, I am. It's kind of slow for me, really. But I will be in Ohio the 27th, 28th, and 29th at Youngstown, Ohio, and I will be doing readings there for people. You just have to book. You just have to send me a message to book it because I will be busy. But I have time to do that, and then I'll be here in New Orleans, and I do readings online. I do them in person. I do seances. Seances are always fun. Seances, I ask that everyone dress up because it makes you get into the spirit of things like that. So I like to be very Victorian in my occultism.
Very nice. Very nice. So I put up your website so people can find you easily.
Yes, I am thegentlemanpsychic.com. Also, I will tell you that you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, The Gentleman Psychic or Richard-Lael Lillard. However, I will tell you, there are fakes out there, and apparently, I have been someone under the guise of me has been asking people to marry them. I'm gay, by the way. I'm not going to ask you to marry me. Ask people to join the Illuminati, and I will give them $1 million. I don't have $1 million. I have $1 million to give away. I am not going to ask you to join the Illuminati. I will never contact you first for a reading. I will never do that under any circumstance. You can contact me. I'm really easy to find.
And easy, just kidding.
I know, right? That's why there's that pause there. That's why there's that. But I'm everywhere. On Wednesday night, Patty Negri, I do Witches Movie Coven. You can find that on YouTube under Witches Movie Coven. It's on my YouTube. It's also on Patty Negri's YouTube. It's on Spotify as well as a podcast. And so every Wednesday we talk about witchy movies, witchcraft movies. And this week we're going to this coming. Well, I don't know when you're going to see this, whoever is out there, but this we're going to be doing.
It'll be out there. Just look for it. Yes.
Hocus Pocus 1 and 2, the 30-year anniversary of Hocus Pocus. On Friday nights, I read on my channel. I read classic novels. Typically, I read about Victorian devils. Typically, though I'm reading something that's a little bit more contemporary. It's 1941 Rocket to the Morgue that I discovered from a seance, actually. And I'll quickly tell you that seance story. So I'm supposed to be writing a book. I've had people tell me that. I've had spirits tell me that, and I have started. But that's all I'll tell you on that. However, so in this seance, these people decided they didn't have anyone they wanted to contact, and they said just anybody who shows up. So we do the seance. They have music going. We summon the spirits. And in this seance, the board spells out. I said, "Who is here?" The board spells JP. And the woman to my right said, "JP Morgan?" And I said, "No, this is Jack Parker." I know him. He's come before. He was right down the street from me in Pasadena. I said, "Hello, Jack. How do we know that it's you?" The board spells out CRJ9K, and I went, "I have no idea what that is." The fellow across me says, "Well, couldn't it be CRJ 9000? And couldn't that be a jet propulsion engine?" I said, "I'm not a rocket scientist. Maybe, I don't know, maybe." And so I said, "Jack, who do you want to talk to?" And he spells out H. Holmes. The woman to my right said, "The serial killer?" And I went, I said, "Well, I played H. Holmes. I did. I played H. Holmes on TV. I played it twice, actually. So maybe it's me. Maybe that's." I said, "Okay, Jack, what do you want to tell me?" And he spells out BOOK. And I said, "All right, I get it. I'm supposed to be writing a book. I get it." We close the session, and I Google immediately CRJ 9000, and it was, in fact, a jet propulsion engine. And then I went, "Oh, how intriguing." So I Google H. Holmes book, Jack Parsons, and I come up with this book from 1941 called Rocket to the Morgue. It was written by Anthony Boucher, whose pen name was H. Holmes, after the American serial killer. And I went, okay, book. So a book that he had written was Rocket to the Morgue, and in it there's a veiled Jack Parsons, a veiled L. Ron Hubbard, who were friends, and I'm reading this door murder mystery. Someone getting murdered, and it's a locked door, and he's trying to figure out. So in it, while the detective is trying to figure out how this murder is happening, he encounters writers who belong to the Manana Society because they're futurists and they write novels about the future, but also because they'll come into their meetings and they'll say, "I have a great idea for a book," and everyone else will say, "Oh yeah? When are you going to write it? Manana, you going to write that book tomorrow? You going to write that book tomorrow?" And it was Jack Parsons' way of laughing at me and saying, "How about tomorrow? You're going to write that book tomorrow? Going to write that book tomorrow? How about tomorrow?" So anyway, I am working on it now. I've gotten my outline started, and I'm not going to give any more information on that, not until it is.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Can't wait. You got to let us know when it's out.
Oh, I'll let
Yeah.
you know.
So you can come back on and promote it.
Yeah.
I would be delighted.
Good. We're coming close to the end. Is there anything else that you would like to tell the audience, or?
I would like to tell you thank you all for your love, your support, your beauty. Thank you for everything that you do. I would also invite you to come down to New Orleans. Come and see me. Come and see this amazing haunted city. And if you come here to my home and get a reading, you get tea and you're immersed in this ambiance. It's actually much more ambiotic than this, or much more atmospheric than this. But I have the light here so that you on the video can see me, and that I don't lurk in shadows. But should you come to New Orleans, you can certainly come here and sit in my parlor, and we'll do readings, and we'll talk about anything that you wish.
Love it. Now, just so the audience knows, what kind of readings do you offer, like tarot, and just so they're clear?
Yes, of course. So the main thing that I do, cards are only a tool. Most of the things that I do are tarot. I offer increments of depending online. I offer a 3-card pull, and which is about 5 minutes, and I offer 15 minutes. In person, we do 30 minutes is typically, because it takes, that's what it takes, 30 minutes to an hour. So that's what I do, but I do a lot of, I pull the cards. I use my Oracle card. It's my favorite. I use a Victorian deck. I can do tarot, but I prefer much more the Oracle deck. They sort of speak. And also, after my mother passed, she told my friend that she loved the owls by my bed, and the owls by my bed were on the back of my cards. So I use my Oracle cards.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you. It was really fun and interesting,
Yes.
and can't wait to have you back.
Yes.
It's my pleasure. Anytime. It's my pleasure.
Well, thank you to everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please reach out to our beautiful guest and get readings. If you're near New Orleans or NOLA, go
I love
there.
New Orleans. I love
New
it.
Orleans.
Yes,
It's a magical city. It is a
yes,
magical
very
city.
magical.
So we love you all and take care. As always, bye.